hence they would come right into this building here, and this is where they transferred and everything. So you had railroads all over coming north and south. You had railroads coming east and west, all into this area here. Now, right now, this is the Dinosaur Barbecue. If you're hungry after the tour, go there. I'm telling you, it's great.
That's good.
It's absolutely
really
great.
Good.
But anyway, so we're going to go down underneath in this area here. Before we leave here, I just want to tell you, I was talking about the Genesee Riverway Trail that we're coming down. The trail now goes over into the street. What we're looking at doing right here next to us, where this concrete structure is going to be Morgan's development. They're looking, like I say, about a 4 to 5 story building here, underground parking they're putting in. Where we are now is going to be the Genesee Valley Trail. So we're going to have a big promenade along here. It's going to wrap around this building, touch down on those piers out there, and come into the Court Street Bridge. So all this is going to be all completely redone in a year or two. So if you're still in school and you come here next year to look at this, or you watch it over the next few years, this is going to be gone. So you may be the last people to see this environment like this before it all changes, believe me. And it will change for the better, because it's going to be a gorgeous walkway with, benches, trees, all sorts of stuff on it. And then a large development over here with retail mixed into it. So we're in the process of all this changing. Now we're going to go underneath here, and we'll stop a little bit ahead. Like I say, ask some questions if you would. Watch where you're walking down here.
It's just a little uneven. You what? I didn't hear a thing you just said.
These flashlights are from Radio Shack?
Yep. Yeah, I got them at their closing sale. Here in Henrietta, where I got the parts for WRUR.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Hey, what? Say again?
That fence wasn't here last time, I don't think.
And right above us is the library. There are libraries down here?
Because they actually did keep water in the Erie Canal in the winter time when it's freezing. But the Erie Canal, and I'll tell you a story a little bit about that, but really the Erie Canal and the railroads were in competition. Railroads could move more goods faster, easier, and cheaper than the canal. So the risk was that the railroads were going to put the Erie Canal out of business.
Which they all
And that's what Roosevelt didn't want. He wanted that competition to keep the railroads in check, because otherwise the barons and the government so powerful that they would just control the whole southern nation. They were close to that, believe me, they were very close. So that was his way of just basically kind of putting them in check and saying, look, I'll expand the barge canal system and make it, just have that little bit of competition.
Hey, want to go swimming in the Genesee? A former student who survived that.
This is the Johnson Seymour
undamaged. Surprisingly.
At one time, it was the width of these 2-barrel arches. That's how big this was. And all down through here was all a series of mills. Spinning wheels and stuff all down in here. Now that all went away. That all went away when the Erie Canal came in and things started to prosper down here. Right here above us here, this is the Rundell Library. This is built in 1933.
Oh, 33. I thought it was
Steel beam.
36.
We're right below the loading dock for it. Trucks coming right above us
Yep.
here.
I used
Drop
to-
all the hooks off.
I used to work in the lower stacks, right above us.
There you go. Yeah, the stacks are actually right over here. But yeah.
Yep.
So all this is underneath the library here. The reason the library was built here is because when it was built in 1930, all right, what happened, I'm going to step back a little bit here, give you a little bit of history about the canal and the subway, okay? The canal ran from 1825 up to about 1905 in that time frame, okay? Then, like I told you, Roosevelt had this big deal. He wanted to get rid of the railroads. He wanted to check that monopoly there, so he expanded the canal, okay? What happened when they expanded, they went to the barge canal system. So the Erie Canal, which was in the downtown areas, all basically went away in the major cities. Like Syracuse, Utica, all of them had disappeared. They had a trench in their downtown areas. Most of them got rid of it. They just filled them in, paved them over. Rochester at that time, in the very early 1900s, we were booming. We were the lion of the West. We were aggressive. We had companies, envy of the world. I mean, it's astonishing, you know, if you're from Rochester, if you've ever studied Rochester and the history. Rochester had so many entrepreneurs. We had so much business with the Kodak, the Xerox, the Bausch and Lomb, Friendship, food production, you name it. It was happening here. So, and with that, we had a lot of congestion downtown. We were a major metropolitan hub. At one time, we were one of the top 20 cities in the country. Just a startling. I think at one time we were even above that. We were at one time in the late 1800s, we were the fastest growing city in the whole entire country. We were a major competition. What happened is so the canal came in, and they, let me get my bearings here. Anyways, so it was growing like crazy here in the 1900s, and as it was building out, the canal they wanted to, they dewatered it, and once they dewatered it, Rochester was left with a ditch. Okay, so like all the other cities, they filled in the Rochester. You know, we had railroads, we had streetcars, we had density, we had craziness on the Main Street area. So the whole thing was like, what do you do with all this? So they wanted to kind of get that in check. So what they did, they built a subway system. They wanted to get the railroads and the streetcars and the trolleys off the downtown streets, put them down into this cavern, more or less, ditch. And that's what they did. So they created the Rochester subway system. Like all great cities, Rochester needed a subway. That was what was thought. So they started building the subway system in the 1920s. Took a long time to build it. Two things happened that really kind of hurt it bad. Is in the 1920s, the Model A, the Model T, all the automobiles were starting to boom. People wanted a car. All right, so the automobile industry was booming. So people, as they were building out the subway system, people were buying cars. And then the big question came, like, really, do we need a subway? We want to drive. You know, the mass population wanted to drive. They didn't want to be in a subway. They didn't see the value of it. They wanted a car. They wanted the freedom. So that was a big thing. And then it took a long time to build a subway because it was right smack downtown. It was one of the largest projects in New York State. It cost, you're going to laugh, it only cost $7 million, but at the time, that was an astonishing amount of money. And it was major disruption in downtown. So it took a long time to build, but when they finally got it done, really, it started up, people were excited about it, but immediately afterwards, the Great Depression in 1929 hit. The subway opened in 1927, 1928, the Depression hit a year later. All hell broke loose in the nation. Unemployment crazy in every single city across the whole entire nation was bad. Rochester was not immune to it. We were a heavily manufacturing-based community at the time, so we were up around like 35, 40% unemployment. So, you know, that really killed the subway. So all through the 30s, the subway didn't work. It really just kind of floundered, it didn't have maintenance or weeds everywhere. One of the cars would jump a track and they couldn't even afford to get it back on the track, or no pun intended, but they couldn't keep it on the track. So all this trouble was happening with this. Now, during World War II, it started to peak again because of gas rationing in the U.S. So people started riding the subway again, and that was a good thing. Now, two major things that actually killed the subway in the situation we're in today, two federal bills that killed the subway were the Eisenhower bill of 53, that was actually your interstate expressway system bill, and the GI Bill of 46. Now the GI Bill, if anyone's familiar with that, you're probably not. I don't know if there's any history majors in the group here, but the GI Bill really flooded the market when basically all the soldiers came back from World War II. And you're talking millions. They were all young, all aggressive, starting families, living life. You know, they all wanted the American dream and everything coming back. You know, America was booming in that time period, late 40s, early 50s. They all wanted a house. They wanted the picket fences. They wanted a car. They wanted all this freedom. So the subway didn't connect to the neighborhoods that were building up. So right after the war, World War I, your inner ring suburbs started developing in all your major communities. And not just Rochester, but no matter where you guys are from, your inner ring suburbs started cropping up in the late 40s. All because of that GI Bill. So what happened with us is our subway, you know, kind of went north-south where the inner ring suburbs were developing east-west. So the subway didn't connect to these people. So essentially, no one rode the subway. They said the subway's a waste. You know, I live in 10 miles this way or 5 miles this way, hence I'm not riding it. So basically, no one rode the subway. Okay, now the Eisenhower bill created the expressway system in '53, another major blow to it. When they built the expressway system, the New York State Thruway is on an I-90. I'm sure everyone's familiar. I'm hoping you're familiar with I-90. You know, major expressway.
Especially the tolls.
Okay. So I-90 when they built I-90, they built it south of Rochester about 10 to 15 miles down in Henrietta. You guys, I'm sure you've probably been on it many times. The reason it's south of the city is very, very interesting, okay? In the 50s, Monroe County did not support the governor, who was Thomas Dewey at the time. So Monroe County and Rochester was heavily Democrat. They did not support Thomas Dewey. So Thomas Dewey had a decision. Either he could spend more money and bring the thruway up to Rochester, actually bring I-90 into Rochester, but it costs millions more. His general thought was, look, you can support me, you don't like me, you don't like Albany, you basically are your own entity. And that time Rochester was so big, we were almost in competition with Albany. I mean, we were kind of a power, we had a lot of power here, a lot of money. He said, look, you don't support me, I'm not putting the thruway near you. Hence, that's the end of the conversation. So they built the thruway south of the city. Major blow for the city in Monroe County and everyone up in this area. So what we were left with is like, okay, cars were booming, life was good. It's 1953, 55 time frame. What do? We have got to connect to the expressway. That is what all America was about at the time. You got to have your car, you got to get out there. So in a nutshell, what happened is they scrapped the whole subway system. Okay, it was running, not really prosperous. They were looking at expanding it. They scrapped the whole subway system, killed it dead in its tracks, and then literally they sold the land of the subway to the state of New York, and the state of New York built I-490. So the 490 and 590, all your expressways that go from the thruway to Rochester at one time were subway lines. And when you come into Rochester, more on the east side than anything else, you'll see remnants of the old subway, you'll see remnants of the old canal. So 490, when you're on it, actually right over here underneath that bridge we were just at there, the old 490, the 490 bridge, when you're underneath that, that was originally an Indian trail that morphed into the Erie Canal, which morphed into the subway system, which morphed into I-490 right now. Okay, so when we sold the subway, and we sold the subway land and everything, that was in 1953-54. Basically what happened is, you know, the subway ended, they finally got rid of it, they truncated off at certain areas. This area that we're going to go in right over here, the old subway line, the last ride was June 30th, 1956. So everything you see down here, they just abandoned it. So everything was abandoned in 1956. And here it is, like, you know, almost close to 60 years later, 8 years later, it's, you know, we're left with all this stuff down here. And that's the history of it all. So basically, it's just, you know, it went through all these transitions, all these different time frames, and we're left with it. Now, for 60 years now, the city's been struggling with what we have to do with all this. You'll see as we walk down, you're going to see it's bigger and bigger and bigger. It goes on and on. It's just like, it's really crazy to see it all. But you'll see remnants of the canal, you'll see remnants of the subway system, all this stuff now.